Welcome to Home Buying 101 with Francisco Gonzalez. Today with me is Gabe Galindo from AZ & Associates. Gabe, thank you for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me, bro.
So, Gabe, I've known you for a while. You're a cool guy, but I really don't know how you got into real estate, who you are. So tell me, who is Gabe Galindo?
I appreciate that, man. Thank you. I've been doing real estate for 8 years now. Before that, I graduated high school, and I was the kind of kid, I didn't like school, man.
What year did you graduate high school?
2010.
Damn, you're young. I thought you were my age.
I feel pretty old.
Well, I'm 5 years older than you at this point.
Oh, that's not too bad.
I thought you were my age.
30s are the new 20s, so you're good, bro.
Sure, let's do that. Let's say that. Blue's the new block.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, no, I didn't really like school. I felt like I knew I wanted to do something, but I was like, I feel like everything we're learning here is like not really gonna, I don't know, like it's senior year when you're just like reading stories and stuff and you're just like, I don't know, I'm not really feeling it. Yeah, so I wasn't really like into school, but when I graduated, I was like, I want to work. I used to work in framing.
Okay.
Yeah. And then after that, I was super excited to get a job like inside. So I got a job at Barrow's Pizza.
Nice.
Yeah. So
That's some good pizza.
yeah, it is. It was really good. Really 5 of the best young times of my life, because I think it was just nice for me to like earn and all that. And then, I mean, I feel like it's just different because I like our family, they work in construction and all that. And I was like, you know what, like I got something different now. I want to be a manager. Like I was super excited about that. So after 5 years of working there, the opportunity started coming up. But I don't know, once I actually got there, I was like, damn, like, I don't know, do I really want to be here for the rest of my life? You know?
It's like, I want to deal with the stress of people and everyone working under you?
Yeah, because I would see that if someone called out, the manager would have to go in all the time. They'd have to pick up the slack. And I just thought about it, and I was like, damn, like, I don't know if I really want to do this for the rest of my life. And at that time, my dad was flipping houses. You know, market was pretty low back then.
Nice.
You know, like 2013,
Okay.
2014. So he was like, hey, you know, like, to sell, you know, whenever I sell these, I have to get a realtor to help me. He was like, you should look into getting a real estate license. So I started doing research, and I was like, huh. I was like, okay. I was like, you know what? I think that's something, not only just because, like, it's something my dad was doing, but I was like, I feel like that's something that I can do and I would feel good about. Because I also wanted to be like an EMT or like work in that.
Nice.
But then I realized I don't do well with blood. You know, I was like, ah.
Well, that's the good thing. At least he didn't say I wanted to be a doctor, go through medical school and everything, and then first day on the job, I can't do blood.
Can't do blood. Sorry, guys. I'm out.
I'm out. I sacrificed half my life, but I'm out.
No, man. Yeah, so I was like, all right, well, I think I always wanted to just like do something meaningful where you can help people and stuff. So yeah, I went, got my real estate license. Took forever, like 10 times on like the school test, 7 times for like the actual
state test.
Yeah, the actual state test. And I remember the actual state test, you have to like pay like $150
every time.
And you know, so I remember I left the pizza place, and then I would have to go back and pick up shifts because I was like, I don't have the money for it. And I remember I would go back, and some of the people working there, like the older guys, they'd be like, hey, I thought you were going to go into real estate. And I was like, I mean, I'm working on it. And they're like,
I'm in the process.
And they're like, well, looks like you're right back here where you belong. And I'm like, all right. So I feel like
that motivated you a little more.
Yeah, you know, when people like talk down to you, or, you know, obviously we all start off somewhere, and when you're trying to do something different or something that's difficult, I guess, that not everybody sees you doing. I mean, everybody can have their opinion, but
I think everyone there's people that always support you. They're always push you, and there's always people that they see that you want to be more successful than them, and they're just haters. They just they just want to keep you down. Like, there's like, it's kind of like a fable, kind of like I can't really think of the word, but it's pretty much like, have you ever seen crabs in a barrel?
yes.
A crab tries to climb up, and a crab's never going to make it to the top. That's why they never put a top on top of a crab, because one crab will try to go up, and all the other crabs are going to try to keep it down.
Damn.
So it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that's how part of society is that they'll always try to keep you down because they don't want anyone else to get out of the barrel, pretty much.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'd have those people that kind of motivated me and like kind of lit a fire. But I also had the people that I worked with that were like very supportive, really cool about it, that I actually helped later down the line.
Did you start off at AZ and Associates, or did you start off somewhere else?
You know what's funny? There's like 2 agents there that when I went to real estate school, they were there. So I became friends with Rai. You know Rai Verma?
No.
No? So me and him became really close. Hillary Key.
Okay, Hillary I do know.
Yeah.
She's
she was
pretty
there.
popular on Facebook.
Yeah, no, she was there too. So we all went to school around the same time, but they finished pretty quick, and I took a while, but me and Rai got pretty close. And I remember between trying to pass, Rai called me one time. He's like, hey, man, what are you up to? Like, have you got your license? And at that time, I was like still working at the pizza place and stuff. And I was like, nah, I'm still working on it. He's like, well, I have a great brokerage, really great broker. You're going to love it here, dude. Like,
nice. That's
don't
awesome.
Even go interview anywhere else. Like, let me know when you're done. Come here. And I'm like, all right. Like, I trusted him. I'm like, he's a good friend. So I was like, all right. So, yeah, once I got my license, I went there and sat down.
Nice. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
So do you still know how to make pizza?
Yeah, you know what's funny? I'll see them in the back, like, making it and, like, do the spin or try to do the spin. I was like, oh, you didn't do it right. I was like, I remember I was pretty good at it.
All right. Well, whenever I buy a brick oven for the house, I'm gonna have you over just so you can make pizza.
Let me know. Yeah, see, I should be able to still do it.
So you can teach us your ways, the Barrow way, because Barrow's pizza is good.
It is bomb. Yeah, it's good times.
So, Gabe, every week we start off with talking about how the market is right now. So, can you give us an idea of what the market's looking like this week since we've pulled numbers this morning?
Yeah, definitely. So today in the market, active listings, we have about 11,555, and that's down 220 homes from last week. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, you can't make fun of my writing off air and on air.
Writing is terrible. I was like, what is it? Conning soon. It says it's coming soon, but that's what it looks like. Coming soons. We have about 547 pending homes. We have 9,097. So, I mean, it's getting pretty busy out there. Medium list price is about 509,000. Medium sold price is 437,000. And days on the market right now is 75, which surprisingly is a lot less than what it's been for a long time.
Well, I don't know. I just feel like 75 days is a lot of days.
It is a lot of days.
Because, like, I've been seeing a lot of people post, under contract. And I feel like most of those listings haven't even been on there for more than, let's say, 50 days.
The people that they post under contracts, they're pretty good agents, and they have clients that listen to them. That's the thing, is like, I feel like the reason why a lot of these homes sit on the market for a long time is because even though we know how the market's moving, even though, we see it every day and we're giving them our advice like, hey, if you price this aggressively, this thing will move and probably go back up to the price that you want it sold at. Sometimes people are like a little hesitant on that.
So let me ask you this, and I think I've talked to this about a couple other realtors, is right now people are still trying to price it at where they were trying to price it, let's say, a year and a half ago, where they're thinking, hey, I'm going to price it high and still get over asking offers too.
Yeah.
Where that's not the case. And like you said, if you have a good realtor that tells you, hey, price it a little under, or price it correctly, you can move it. You can move the house a lot quicker than if you price it too high.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, most of the time, they'll listen, especially if they trust you. They'll be like, you know what? I got trust what you're saying. Let's go with your advices. And normally when that happens, like, you go under contract quick, you get multiple offers as clean as possible. And like, that's obviously what we always aim for.
And we're still seeing concessions right now, correct?
Concessions, if they're priced high. If they've been on the market 75 days, yeah, absolutely. Yep. But yeah, I think that's like where, as a buyer's agent, you can take advantage of. And, as a listing agent, obviously you're going to feel a little disappointed in. But
so if you're pricing correctly, there shouldn't really be too much concessions.
No. If you price it well, you're going to be fighting multiple offers and obviously be able to get that person that's willing to take it for the highest with no closing costs. But that's what we try, tell our clients, and those that trust us, great, and those that kind of want to do it their way or see how it goes for a week or two.
So price it correctly or price it maybe a little under just to create that demand.
Yeah, always. Yeah, gotta get that bid war going. For sure.
So right now, what are we currently seeing with the higher interest rates? But of course, we're seeing the dropping inventory because, like we talked about before we even jumped on the air. I showed you a couple of these sheets I've done over the last couple of 6 months where, yeah, there's a 220 listing drop this week, but I showed you that some weeks we had 500, 600, 300. So what are you currently seeing right now with higher interest rates and dropping inventory?
It's kind of a weird like state where it's all balancing out. Because before it was like, oh, the rate's too high, so a lot of people weren't selling or buying, and now houses we had a bunch of inventory. We had about double this, so about like 20,000 plus homes on the market beginning of the year, and now we're seeing the rates still be what people call high at a 7%, and now multiple offers, things like that. I think the reason for that is because Arizona's growing. Like I talk to people like from different states all the time. They talk about how beautiful Arizona is, and I'm like, yeah, it is. It's a great place to live in. Weather, I mean,
I think we'd have a lot more people too if the summers didn't get as hot as they do.
Yeah,
because I mean, let's say for example, I honestly wear a light jacket December, like the last 2 weeks of December, and maybe the first 2 to 3 weeks of January, and then we're at the Phoenix Open in February, like beginning of February. Everyone's already in shorts.
Where are you from?
El Paso.
Is it cold in El Paso?
It snows in El Paso, so yes.
That's why. I was like, bro, in February, it's freezing here. I was like, I'm freezing.
It's like 70s in February.
Me and my wife were actually talking about that. We're like, the last couple of years, surprisingly, like February seems like the coldest month.
So last 2 years, maybe it's been cold, but I remember like before COVID, I'd go to the Phoenix Open.
Yeah, in February, and it was fine.
In February, it was like midweek, and I'd be in shorts.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think the last 2 years, though, it's been like freezing in February.
I remember the first year I went to the Phoenix Open, I moved here in 2014. So 2015, the first February I was out here because I moved out here in the summer of 2014.
Nice.
It rained that week, so I went like on that Saturday, which I'll never go on a Saturday to a Phoenix Open again because it's just too many people. But
was it fun?
Well, it was a lot of fun. And you know how there's a hill that goes up to the 16th hole?
Yeah.
And everybody and their mom, of course, goes to the Phoenix Open dressed like they're going to the freaking gala.
Yeah.
So I was walking by the 16th hole, and you just see people walking up the muddy road and just slip and just eat it.
They get wasted. It's a fun time.
Well, that too, but it was just like, it was all mud. Muddy. So they were trying to walk in like heels or whatever, and they no traction on their shoes, and they would just slide down.
Dang.
The mudslide, pretty much.
So go on a Saturday when it's raining?
Yeah, I mean, I like to go like on Thursday. Like I like to sit on the 12th hole just because the 12th hole has like a little Mexican little restaurant, and they've got like these lounge chairs. Yeah. So you can honestly sit on the 12th hole and see pretty much a couple other holes on there, but you can see the full 12th hole and see everyone play through. And during the week, it's a lot of fun. Like last time I went, I took my brother. This was the year before COVID, and dude, we were just walking out. We were walking out like maybe like at 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And I just look over, and Michael Phelps is walking right next to me.
That's so sick.
No one else no one was bothering him, nothing. When I was like, and as we split ways, I even told my brother, I was like, oh, look, Michael Phelps was just walking next to him. Dude, that guy's tall.
Yeah. That's
But crazy. It was cool because, like, and that's what I like about Phoenix, too. Like, you can go to the Henry or just spots in Scottsdale, and sometimes you'll run into celebrities, and most people won't even talk to them or bother them just because they know they don't want to be bothered. But, like, I've seen I think he was the second string quarterback for the Denver Broncos, and he became like the quarterback of the Houston Texans. I can't remember his name, but he was at the Henry one day. Like I've just run into a bunch of celebrities, and you just don't even bother them. It's like they're just regular people just like us, so why bother?
Yeah.
I ran into Luis Gonzalez a lot. It's hilarious. And he's such a nice guy. Like he's the nicest guy I've ever met. Like I've done a couple of charity events with him and stuff, and I always run into him, and he's like always super nice.
He's like, we meet again, Francisco. You're like, you remember me? No, that's cool, man.
But he's like the nicest guy. So that's like you're saying, like Phoenix is perfect weather. It's a hub too. I mean, I can fly pretty much anywhere for like $130 round trip. If you do it like with enough anticipation, you can pretty much go to Denver, Dallas, San Diego, pretty much anywhere you want, and then or drive anywhere you want for cheap.
Yeah.
So that's the cool thing. And then you've got Flag, Sedona, and all of that. So.
Yeah. So I feel like, I mean, like you said, Arizona's a really nice place to live at and a lot of job opportunities. So that's...
And it's always growing, too. There's always new companies. I mean, I don't know what's happening, and maybe you know what's going on with that smart city they were supposed to build out by you guys in Verrado.
The one out in Tonopah? Yeah. I mean, they're saying around like 20 years from now, the land's bought. I mean, Bill Gates bought that. I'm pretty sure, they're going to be building something nice out there. But you already look out there, and it's already expanding more the freeway. Used to be a 2-lane. They opened up to a 3-lane now, finally. That Costco's going up right off of Verrado.
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard about that like maybe like a week ago that they're putting a Costco out there.
That whole area, like right off of Verrado, it's all like we saw all the, what are those giant tractor things that like smooth out the land? Mm-hmm. There's like 10, 20 of those like already smoothed out the land. They're saying they're going to be building like more plazas and stuff there. So it's already all growing out west. So you can imagine that 10, 20 years from now, that smart city is going to be out there.
Yeah, I remember when I first moved out here in like 2014, they're like someone would say Buckeye, and I'd be like, why don't I go all the way out there? And now it's just part of...
Yeah, now it's Tonopah. They're like, why would I go out there?
In 20 years, it's going to be like, oh, I'm going to go out to Blythe now just because Blythe is going to be part of all this.
Yeah, Blythe's so far now. Yeah. But no, it's growing out there. So I'm excited, and being from here, I'm proud to be like, damn, like Arizona's growing and it's really beautiful. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was born in California, but
there you go.
Yeah,
and I mean, we've got pretty much all the major sports teams at this point too. So I mean, if they could only actually win stuff and win championships, that'd be better. But we're getting there.
Yeah, they're getting there. They're getting there. At least the D-backs have theirs. I'm sorry, we just need the other ones.
For now.
They have their championship. Yeah, if the other teams can catch up, that'd be awesome.
Of course. So let me ask you this: people waiting that are kind of like on the fence for the market to crash. What does that mean right now? What advice do you have for those people that are they're in that mindset of, hey, I'm just waiting for the market to crash. I'm waiting for it not to be as competitive. Where people were saying this in 2020 during COVID, and of course now we're here. There's more inventory, and those people still aren't shopping. So, I guess what advice do you have for people that are still waiting for the market to crash?
Yeah, no, it's funny you bring that up because I've had a lot of clients that, they told me like, hey, I want to wait till the market crashes because it'll be cheaper, payment will be cheaper, things like that. And I'm like, okay, I think, and this is where, you, as a realtor, you explain everything like, okay, so if the market did crash and this house that's worth 300 is now 100, okay, do you think the interest rate's still going to be a 7?
Of course.
Yeah, it's going to jump up. It's going to get a lot higher. Not only that, but hedge funds, investors, people that have their money saved up, they're going to be all over that with cash. So your FHA loan, your VA loan, it's not going to look very attractive to a seller when you have someone that's willing to close in 5 days.
And pay cash.
Yeah. Now, if someone's like, well, I want to buy something cheap, okay, then, you can definitely wait. But who's to say that the market's going to drop that bad again? I mean, they did studies that the last time that happened was in the Great Depression, which was from the last big crash 80 years ago. So it might be another 80 years until something like that happens.
I think people are kind of just also kind of waiting to see if what happened in California happens here, where like in California, when I had a friend who she lived out there in 2008, 2009, 2010, where she owed more than her house was worth just because everything dropped. But I don't think that's going to happen out here.
No. And I mean, the biggest thing that I turn to when people are like, well, what makes you think Arizona's going to be like a good market? I'm like, it's growing. A lot of job opportunity. Like, everything's just moving.
New builds are going up everywhere. There's Mark Taylor communities that are just buying lots and building 30, 40, 50, 60 homes and renting it out to people.
Yeah. Did you hear about that other community out by, what's that place? Like, not all the way to Tonopah, but it's in Buckeye. Okay. But it's north. And if, like, you go up north enough, it turns into Whitman.
Okay.
There's this new community that's being built out there. I'm trying to remember the name. When I remember, I'll tell you, man.
So what's going on there? Just describe it to me at least.
They're saying it's a brand new, going to be like another like Scottsdale, but out in the west.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Jerry Colangelo, one of the guys that was in the Ring of Honor for the Phoenix Suns, is one of the investors out there. So
I mean, that would make sense just because, for example, if you live out in like Surprise, Waddell, off the 303,
Yeah.
it's a drive to get to Scottsdale. So if they built some, and there's money in Scottsdale, Sun City, Surprise, all those, like, there's a bunch of major cities on the west side of town that just, there's a lot of money out there. So it makes sense to pretty much try to build another Scottsdale out that way because there's people that have the money to spend it, but they're not going to go all the way out to Scottsdale and drive pretty much an hour to get out to Scottsdale.
Exactly, yeah. So back to those people that are like, oh, we're waiting on the market to crash. It's really a teeter-totter thing. Like, you know, interest rates go up. Okay, yeah, house prices will drop. You know, house prices drop. You know, interest rates are going to go up. You know, so it always balances out each other. And sometimes they're like, well, the mortgage payment will be a lot less. I'm like, well, it all balances out, you know? And I think that's where, as realtors, we educate people like, look, like, you're not going to get a super cheap house with a super low interest rate.
It's not possible.
Unless you buy down all those points. But, you know, even then, that's expensive.
That's a lot of money down.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. When someone is looking into buying a home, how do you set expectations for them?
So, I mean, something that's really helped me out since I started is taking the time to sit down with my clients from the beginning and letting them know, like, how is the market today? Like, not how it was 6 months ago, because it's completely different, you know, beginning of the year. Not how it was when your friend bought 2 years ago, 5 years ago, but how is it today? Because that way, you know, if it's difficult, you let them know, like, yeah, it's going to be a little bit challenging, but we're going to stay persistent. Or like if it was like 6 months ago, I'm like, yeah, you're going to get a great deal. It's just a matter of finding the right house for you. You know, we're going to be able to negotiate this, that, all that. So setting those expectations from the beginning so they can follow your lead. And not only that, I like going through the process because one of the things I read and someone pointed out was like the number one complaint from Realtor or like Zillow.com was from people that bought was the realtor didn't explain the process. They just kind of like went out, looked at homes, and were like, okay, like what's next?
Which one do you like?
Yeah, wait, how much is this going to cost? You know, like things like that. So I feel like from the very beginning, if I'm able to, one, set those expectations, two, explain the process, three, how much everything's going to cost, this process of getting you into a home is going to be a lot smoother, and I'm not going to feel like I'm dragging or pulling anybody because they already know what to expect. I've already told them the cost up front. And it's funny, a lot of people think that when we're helping them buy, they need to pay us. And I'm like, nah, it's only if we're helping you sell a house.
There's a state, and I read an article, there's a state that wants to change that too, where they want, I want to say it's the buyer to pay for their agent, and then they want the seller to pay for the listing agent to get paid, and then the buyer's agent to get paid by the buyer. Like there's a state that's trying to fight that right now.
Yeah. I wonder what state that is.
I'll look for the article.
They're probably getting a bunch of 1 or 2%.
But there's a state that wants to change that, and they're like, I want to say they're trying to take it up to like the Supreme Court to change pretty much real estate in general. So let me ask you, when it comes to someone going into the home buying process, what do you feel that some people aren't properly educated on?
I think anybody that's a first-time home buyer or, you know, they're trying to buy, it's all relatively new to them. So I think it's not so much that they're not educated, it's that sometimes, you know, some agents don't take the time to sit down, explain everything, and get them on the same page. Because, I mean, I remember when I started, people were just like, oh, yeah, can we start looking at houses? And I was like, yeah, sure, let's go. You know, so we'd be looking at houses.
Without a prequel?
Without a prequel. Just looking, you know. I think for me, I was like, oh, I just want to help them.
You just wanted clients.
I just want to help you. You know, I got my clients, but like they weren't qualified, and then, you know, comes to the point where they actually like something and then they don't qualify. Everybody's upset.
Yeah, because you get their hopes up for something that they can't even afford. You're just you're pretty much going downhill from there.
Yeah, or another thing that comes up that's always like something you want to make sure is the monthly payment. Like, yeah, they qualify for $450, but do they like the payment at $450? Mm-hmm. You know, so numbers, I always crunch numbers.
Can they adjust their life to if something were to happen where they need to pull out $10,000 for an emergency?
Exactly.
Are they going to still be able to make that $2,000-$3,000 home payment?
Yeah. So I think just educating them on, you know, hey, here are the steps. Here are the reasons why I want to take these steps with you. So that way we're all on the same page. And also let's run numbers, see how much you qualify for. If you like it, great. Okay. Do you like the monthly payment there? Because at the end of the day, you're stuck with that for 30 years. They're still doing those 40-year loans, huh?
I haven't heard too much about them. I mean, they were trying to talk about them like maybe about a month or two ago, but I haven't heard too many.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about it, so we'll stick to 30 for right now. But either way, like, that's the biggest thing is, like, that's your payment. Like, I want to make sure you're comfortable. I want to make sure you're good and that, you know, you're not put in the tight spot.
So can you give me some success stories of some of your clients recently that, of course, you've been able to pretty much get them off the fence, set the expectation, then obviously properly educate them into feeling comfortable looking into homes and getting into a home?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to talk about.
Give me one of your favorite ones in the last 6 months that recently that you just, it was an all-around awesome experience.
Okay, so there was a client, he was referred to me by my mother-in-law a couple of years ago. And so he reached out to me because he was already under contract. And 2 years ago, like, that's when, kind of like when you bought, you know, the market was a little crazy. You had to do a lot, like send an above asking offer. You had to pay your own closing costs. You had to pay for if the appraisal came back low.
Waive the inspection sometimes.
Take the home as is. Like, that was the deal. So the agent was helping him buy it, but she was also the listing agent. But he didn't feel comfortable with, like, what they had, and they didn't really explain it to him. So, you know, my mother-in-law was like, can you reach out to him and just read the contract? I'm like, okay. So I looked through it and I explained everything. I'm like, yeah, man, you're pretty much buying this house. You're going to pay for your own closing costs. There's no repairs. And if the appraisal does come back lower, you are going to be paying about $5,000 above that. Does this now kind of make sense that we've kind of gone over it? And he was like, man, like, that's a lot. I'm like, I mean, I was like, honestly, this is how the market is right now. But I feel like if you're not comfortable with it, I mean, just tell her you're still technically in your inspection period. You can cancel. But if you are, then, you know, just understand that this is how the market is right now. And if it's a good time for you, cool. And if not, then wait it out. And who knows, maybe later down the line, things will be better. So, yeah, he ended up canceling it, and I was like, okay, like, I kind of felt bad. I felt bad. But
yeah, but you don't want him to, like you said, you don't want him to be in a situation where he just wasn't comfortable. And,
exactly, and I could tell, like...
And just there was a conflict of interest there because, like, she was representing both him and the seller, so she just wanted to get the transaction closed. Like, she wasn't properly educating him and pretty much putting his best interest forward.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, like... I more so felt bad for him because I'm like, damn, you're not going to get that house. But, yeah, I think that's kind of the reason why I was like, look, man, like, this is what it's actually, like, this is what you're signing. This is what you're about to get into.
So did he end up working with you after that?
Yeah, so I told him, you know, like, if anything changes, let me know. And he's like, yeah, you know what? I really like that you explain these little details. So I want to work with you whenever I'm ready. I was like, okay, cool. So follow-ups, year later, still working on it. And then on one of my listings, he actually called me and was like, hey, man, like, I really like this house you have up for sale. I'm like, cool. I was like, you think you're ready? He's like, yeah, I think so. So I'm like, all right, cool, man. Let's get you going. And I sat down with them and his wife. I'm like, look, like, buyer meeting, expectations, cost. This is the program you're going to be using. We went through all that. And I remember at the end of the meeting, he was like, man, like, I really appreciate that. Like, day and night compared to how I was treated. Like, last time I was just in a contract after seeing the home. He's like, I like that you actually took an hour to explain everything, and I feel a lot more at ease. And I was like, yeah, man. I was like, that's what it's about, you know?
So
like,
this is how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, I'd feel weird signing docs and not really knowing what's going on. So I was like, yeah, I want you guys to be comfortable. I was like, because, you know, it'll be good.
Of course.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, Gabe, if someone wants to reach out to you to start looking at homes, at least learn what the process and what the expectations are, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
You can reach out to me at 602-621-1006. Also, I have my Instagram at Gabe Galindo _23. I'm on Facebook. Look me up on there.
Yep.
Gabe Galindo. What else? Emails.
What about MySpace?
Oh, you can find my MySpace back in the day when I was all thin and my wife beater. Yeah, my top 10 that I haven't updated in years.
Well, Gabe, of course, thank you for being on the show. And
Yeah.
of course, if you guys have any other questions for Gabe, of course, reach out to him or reach out to us. And of course, if you guys have any insurance questions or any insurance needs, of course, always reach out to us. But Gabe, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me on, bro. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.